Welcome to the deep dive. So today, we're looking at those Pi coins. The ones you might have been mining on your phone for maybe years.
Could be years, yeah. And it's the next logical step, right?
Well,
If you're holding these assets, what do you do with them?
exactly. How do you put them to work?
And for context, Pi Network, it's that blockchain project started by Stanford PhDs, back in 2019?
Right. The whole idea was making mining easy, ecological, push a button once a day on your phone.
Super accessible.
Mm-hmm.
But now the network's maturing, so we're looking at, utilization.
And maybe the biggest utilization strategy in DeFi, decentralized finance, is providing liquidity. So we're zooming in today on the liquidity pool deposit operation.
That's specific action.
Our mission really is to unpack the source material we've got, give you a clear view of the trade-off. Because there is a trade-off.
Absolutely. It's that promise, often quite tempting, of high passive income versus the main risk, the big one, impermanent loss. It can just, wipe out those gains if you're not careful.
Okay, let's cut right to it then. For decentralized trading, swapping one crypto for another without a big company in the middle, you need inventory. Like stock on the shelves.
Right. You can't just wait for one buyer and one seller to magically find each other at the exact same time. It wouldn't work smoothly.
So what exactly is a liquidity pool? What happens when, you decide to do this deposit?
Okay, think of a liquidity pool, an LP, as basically the engine room. Or maybe like a big shared pot for a decentralized market. It's just a large pile of two different digital assets. Let's say Pi coin and, Pizza token.
Pizza token, I like it.
Yeah. And they're locked together in a smart contract. That shared pile, that's what lets people trade instantly. It's the inventory.
Okay. So when I deposit my assets, I'm adding to that communal pot.
Exactly. You become a liquidity provider.
Yeah.
An LP. You're providing the stock.
Gotcha.
And there's a key rule here. To keep things stable and fair, you always have to deposit an equal value of both tokens in that pair.
Equal value, not equal amount of coins.
Correct. Value in, say, dollars or equivalent. So if you put in $1,000 worth of Pi, you absolutely must put in $1,000 worth of the other token, maybe like USDC, a stable coin.
Right. So you're guaranteeing that 50-50 value split.
You are. And that balance is what makes the whole thing work, lets trades happen smoothly for everybody else.
And doing that, providing that service, that's how you earn, right? Right. Let's talk about the passive income side. Where is the money coming from?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. It's basically like rent for your digital assets. The income comes purely from transaction fees.
Okay.
Every single time someone uses the pool you've contributed to, maybe they're buying Pi, maybe they're selling Pi, they pay a tiny fee for that swap. And since your assets help make that trade possible, you get a slice of that fee.
Okay, a slice. But how do you know how big your slice is? Like if the pool gets bigger because other people jump in, does my share shrink? How's my percentage tracked?
That's where the LP tokens come in. It's quite neat, actually. When you deposit, the smart contract automatically gives you these special tokens. Think of them as your digital receipt, non-losable, unbreakable.
Okay, like a claim check.
Exactly like a claim check.
Yeah.
And these LP tokens represent your precise percentage share of the entire pool. So if your initial deposit, say $2,000, was 10% of the total value in that pool at that moment,
Then I get 10% of the fees.
you get 10% of all the transaction fees generated by that pool for as long as you hold those LP tokens.
Right. So the rewards really boil down to two things then. How big my slice is my percentage, and just how busy that pool is, the trading volume.
Precisely. Volume is key. A really busy pool, even if you only have a small percentage share, could actually earn you more than owning like half of a pool that nobody uses.
That makes sense. Activity drives revenue.
Activity is crucial. But, and this is really important, we need to put up a big flashing sign here based on the source material. Everything we're talking about, the examples, the fee percentages, how it all works.
Yeah.
This is currently running on the testnet.
Okay. Not the final version.
Not final. Pi Network is basically testing the mechanics, the principles, the exact fees, the final reward system for when they launch on mainnet. That's not set in stone yet. They're still figuring that out.
That's a critical disclaimer because honestly, the potential income numbers we're about to discuss, they look pretty good. Let's get into that calculation example the source used. A hypothetical Pi USDC pair.
Yeah, let's quantify the potential upside, remembering that testnet caveat. So the setup is hypothetical. Let's say one Pi coin is worth exactly 1 USDC. And USDC, that's a stable coin, it's generally pegged 1-to-1 with the US dollar.
Okay, 1 Pi equals $1, basically. Easy math.
Makes it simple. Now, imagine you decide to deposit $20,000 into this Pi USDC pool.
Okay.
Because they're equal value, that means you put in 10,000 Pi and 10,000 USDC.
Right, $10 of each.
And let's assume, for this example, that your $20,000 represents exactly 1% of the total value locked in that entire pool.
Okay, $20 K investment, 1% ownership stake. Got it. Now you need trades happening. Volume.
Exactly. You need the pool to be used. The scenario assumes a steady daily trading volume for this specific pool of $200,000.
Every day, $200 worth of Pi and USDC gets swapped back and forth using this pool.
That's the assumption here. And the standard fee on most decentralized exchanges, or DHAs, is around 0.3%.
Okay.
So you calculate 0.3% of that $200,000 daily volume.
That comes out to $600 in fees generated by the pool each day.
$600 USDC in total fees collected by the pool daily. Yes.
And since I own 1% of the pool,
You get 1% of that $600
which is $6 USDC,
per day.
passively.
$6 a day, just for having your assets sitting in the pool facilitating trades.
Okay, now annualize that. $6 a day times 365 days. That's $2,190 a year.
$2,190 in estimated annual profit based on those assumptions.
On an initial $20,000 investment, that's a potential annual percentage yield, an APY of 10.95%.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely attractive. I mean, compare that to traditional savings accounts. It's quite high. It looks great on paper, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like you pointed out, it hinges on that $200,000 daily volume being consistent.
Right. If volume halves, my APY halves.
Exactly. Volume risk is a real thing. But even that, according to the source material, isn't the main risk. There's something bigger, potentially much more damaging that we haven't factored in yet.
Okay, this is the catch. This is impermanent loss, isn't it? IL. The big scary acronym in LP land.
That's the one. This is the concept every single liquidity provider has to understand. So what is it?
Define it clearly for us.
Okay, impermanent loss, it's not like a fee someone charges you. It's not a penalty. It's an opportunity cost, a loss compared to what you could have had.
Okay.
It's the situation where the total dollar value of your assets when you pull them out of the liquidity pool is lower than the value they would have had if you just held on to them. If you just HOD-led them in your own wallet over that same period.
So you end up with less money than if you'd done nothing, even with the fees earned.
Potentially, yes. Especially if price movements are large. The impermanent part just means the loss isn't locked in until you withdraw, but the potential divergence is always there.
What causes it? What's the mechanism driving this difference between being an LP and just holding?
It all comes down to price changes. Specifically, a significant change in the price ratio between the two tokens you paired together.
Like if Pi goes way up, but USDC stays flat.
Exactly that kind of scenario. The smart contract that runs the pool, it's programmed with a mathematical formula, often called a constant product formula. Its absolute prime directive is to maintain that 50-50 value balance between the two assets in the pool at all times.
Can you give an analogy?
Okay, imagine the smart contract is like a super strict automated scale balancer. It must keep the dollar value on both sides equal.
Okay.
So if the price of Pi suddenly shoots up, making the Pi thide heavier in value terms, the balancer automatically starts selling off some of that appreciating Pi.
Selling my Pi.
Yes, selling your Pi for the stable asset, the USDC in this case, just enough to bring the value back to that perfect 50-50 split. It has to do this to keep the market functional for traders.
So the risk is that the pool's automatic rebalancing forces it to sell the very asset that's rocketing up in price, the one I'd actually want to be holding more of.
Precisely. It's selling your winner to buy more of the stable or relatively underperforming asset to maintain the pool's balance for everyone else's trades. You sacrifice potential upside for the pool's stability.
Okay, this sounds like where things can go sideways. Let's look at the source's extreme example. You mentioned it shows the potential devastation.
Yeah, this example really highlights the impact of serious price volatility. Let's reset. We start again with that $20,000 initial investment. But this time, let's say the initial price of Pi isn't $1, but only $0.20.
Okay, much lower starting price for Pi. So for a $20,000 deposit, still 50-50 value, that means you put in 10,000 USDC and, 50,000 Pi coins? 10,080.20.
Exactly. 10,000 USDC and a hefty 50,000 Pi. That's your starting position in the pool.
Got it.
Now, let's imagine over the next 6 months, something amazing happens for Pi holders.
Yeah.
The price goes absolutely parabolic. It increases 50 times, from $0.20 all the way up to $10 per Pi.
Wow. Okay, that's the dream if you're just holding Pi.
That's the absolute dream. So let's benchmark against that dream. Strategy A, just HODL. What if you had just kept those initial 10,000 USDC and 50,000 Pi in your wallet and forgotten about liquidity pools?
Okay, at $10 per Pi, those 50,000 Pi are now worth $500,000, plus the 10,000 USDC you started with, so $510,000 total.
$510,000, that's your HODL value. That's the best possible outcome from that price surge. Keep that number in mind.
Okay, $510 now.
Okay.
Strategy B, the liquidity pool. What did that automatic scale balancer do while Pi was going from 20 cents to $10?
It was working relentlessly. As Pi's price climbed, the pool's smart contract was continuously selling off your Pi stash and buying more USDT to keep that 50-50 value balance.
Chilling the winner.
Selling the winner. By the time Pi hits that $10 mark, the rebalancing act means your share of the pool no longer looks like 50,000 Pi and 10K USDC. Instead, it shifted dramatically. Your share is now approximately 7,071 Pi and about 70,710 USDC.
Hold on. You started with 50,000 Pi, and now after the price moon, you only have about 7,000 Pi left in the pool.
That's right. The pool sold off over 40,000 of your Pi coins automatically as the price rose.
Ouch. So what's the total value of that pool position now at the $10 Pi price?
Okay, let's calculate it. You have 7,071 Pi worth $10 each. That's $70,710. Plus, you have the 70,710 USDC. Add them together. Your total pool value is roughly $141,420.
Wow. Okay, let's compare. HO dealing would have given me $510,000. Providing liquidity leaves me with $141,420.
That difference, that's the impermanent loss.
The loss of potential gain. And
Okay.
$510,000 minus $141,420, that's $368,580.
A stunning $368,580 scenario.
So even though my initial $20K grew to $141K, which is still a massive gain, like over 600%.
Still a fantastic return in absolute terms, yeah.
Just paired to just holding, I missed out on over $360,000 of profit because the pool kept selling my appreciating Pi.
That's the brutal reality of impermanent loss illustrated perfectly.
So the source material's big takeaway here is pretty stark then. Yeah, you would have earned some fees over those 6 months.
Absolutely. The fees would offset some of that $368K difference.
But realistically, there's no way the fees would come anywhere close to covering that massive divergence caused by a 50x price increase.
Not even close in such an extreme case. So, the conclusion is clear. Liquidity providing is a strategy that works best, or is at least risky, when the prices of the two tokens in the pair stay relatively stable against each other.
Or I suppose if you strongly believe the trading fees you'll earn will consistently be higher than any potential impermanent loss over your time horizon.
That's the calculation you have to make. But huge sudden price swings in one asset relative to the other, that is the primary enemy of the liquidity provider's returns compared to just holding.
Okay, so it's this constant balancing act. Chasing that potentially high APY from fees versus guarding against the value drain from impermanent loss if prices diverge too much. That really defines this DeFi strategy.
It absolutely does. And if you think about this risk in the context of the Pi network itself, you see some interesting connections. The founders seem focused on building, well, stability and utility.
How so?
Well, their goal is increasing the coin's value organically by letting people build actual apps on the platform, creating real use cases. That tends to foster more gradual, stable growth rather than pure speculative pumps.
Right, utility driving value, not just hype. And there was that other detail, the administrative bit from the source about KYC.
Why, yeah, the know your customer stuff. It mentioned that the Pi network requires users to enter their real name for identity verification.
When does that kick in?
After about 30 mining sessions, apparently. They seem serious about it. The source mentioned a potential 20% penalty if your registration info is incorrect.
Okay. That suggests they're aiming for a more regulated long-term ecosystem, maybe trying to filter out purely anonymous speculation.
Could be. It all feeds into this idea of building something potentially more stable. Which brings us right back to the core dilemma for you, the potential liquidity provider.
Yeah.
If the biggest danger in permanent loss comes from one token wildly outperforming the other, does that imply the safest, maybe even the most successful long-term strategy for providing Pi liquidity is to only pair it with stablecoins like USDC?
So you'd essentially capture the fees, but give up almost all the potential upside if Pi itself appreciates massively, just to avoid IL.
Exactly. You sacrifice potential HODL gains for potentially steadier fee income. Or is the lure of high volume and potentially high fees, maybe even extra yield farming rewards down the line, compelling enough to take the calculated risk of impermanent loss, even pairing Pi with another potentially volatile token?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Which risk are you more comfortable managing? The risk of missing out on fees or the risk of impermanent loss eating into your principal if prices move dramatically?
That's the strategic tightrope you have to walk when you decide to put your mined Pi or any crypto to work in a liquidity pool.